A single shot shattered the air and forever changed the course of history. On September 10, 2025, Charlie Kirk, a figure who had become a polarizing voice in America's political landscape, was struck down while addressing a packed auditorium at Utah Valley University. Nearly 3,000 people had gathered for what was supposed to be an ordinary speech, but within minutes the atmosphere transformed from excitement to chaos. The moment the bullet hit Kirk in the neck, panic erupted. Students, supporters, and staff scrambled for safety as screams filled the hall. What should have been a day of ideas and debate became the scene of a national tragedy. As the confusion unfolded, questions began rising faster than authorities could answer them. Who fired the shot? Why did it happen? And could it have been prevented? The story that followed has captivated the nation, not only because of the crime itself, but because of the shadows of doubt, conflicting evidence, and the looming possibility of a death sentence. Subscribe now if you want to stay on top of this unfolding story as the truth comes to light. In the aftermath of the shooting, investigators worked urgently to bring clarity. Witnesses described frantic scenes. Some swore the shot came from outside. Others insisted it came from within the hall. Phone recordings and shaky videos poured onto social media, each one offering fragments, but never the full picture. Authorities quickly moved to calm public fear by naming a suspect. Within hours, Tyler Robinson, a 22-year-old from Utah, was arrested. According to officials, he had been spotted near a rooftop close to the venue, allegedly carrying a rifle. The public narrative seemed straightforward. A lone young man, possibly disillusioned or radicalized, had targeted a political figure. Yet as investigators pieced together the timeline, inconsistencies began surfacing. The chaos of those first hours left many wondering whether the rush to name a suspect was about seeking justice or simply silencing the nation's outrage. Robinson's arrest marked the beginning of a fierce debate. Prosecutors wasted no time in laying out what they claimed was irrefutable evidence. Forensic teams pointed to DNA samples found on a bolt-action rifle abandoned near the scene. A handwritten note discovered in Robinson's apartment allegedly outlined his intention to harm Charlie Kirk. And perhaps most damning, text messages retrieved from his phone appeared to confess frustration and a breaking point that culminated in the shooting. At first glance, the case looked overwhelming. But beneath the surface, defense attorneys and independent observers identified troubling gaps. DNA can be transferred indirectly. Proximity does not always equal intent. Handwriting can be forged or misinterpreted. Digital messages can be manipulated, stripped of context, or even fabricated. What seemed like a neat package of evidence began to look more like a collection of puzzle pieces that didn't fully align. For many, the so-called proof sparked more questions than answers, and skepticism grew louder. Amid mounting controversy, Robinson's family and supporters demanded stronger representation. On September 24th, the court appointed Catherine Nestor, a highly respected attorney known for her steady, principled approach to high-profile cases. With years of experience defending clients against severe criminal charges, including capital cases, Nestor was no stranger to life-and-death legal battles. She was joined by Richard Novak and Michael Burt, forming a formidable defense team. Their arrival shifted the tone of the case. For the first time, Robinson had a legal voice capable of challenging the narrative being pushed by prosecutors. Nestor wasted no time reminding the public of a fundamental principle. Guilt is not decided by public opinion, nor by the headlines of the moment, but by evidence tested in court. Her message resonated with many Americans unsettled by how quickly Robinson had been vilified before the trial even began. But prosecutors had their own message, one equally forceful. They announced that they would seek the death penalty, elevating the trial from a fight over guilt to a struggle over life itself. Their decision underscored the gravity of the charges and the symbolic weight of Charlie Kirk's death. To them, this was more than murder. It was an attack on democracy and public order. For the defense, it meant the stakes could not be higher. Every piece of evidence, every cross-examination, every witness statement would now carry the potential to decide whether Robinson lives or dies. The announcement widened the divide, intensifying emotions on both sides. For some, it seemed like justice. For others, it looked like vengeance. Beyond the courtroom, the case ignited deep divisions across the country. Supporters of Charlie Kirk mourned the loss of a leader they believed spoke for them, while critics saw the event as another grim reminder of the dangers of escalating political rhetoric. Social media became a battlefield of conspiracy theories, mistrust, and heated debates. Was Robinson truly a lone gunman, or was he a scapegoat for something more complex? The lack of clear answers fueled speculation, and every new development was dissected endlessly in the public sphere. What became clear is that this tragedy was no longer just about one man's death or one man's guilt. It had become a reflection of America's fractured trust in its institutions, from law enforcement to the courts. The human cost of the shooting is a weight carried not only by the nation but by two families in particular. Charlie Kirk's family is left with an unbearable void: a son, husband, and friend taken in an instant. For them, every day is a reminder of what has been lost, and justice feels like the only consolation left. On the other side stands the Robinson family, thrust into a nightmare they never imagined. They face the crushing possibility that their son could be executed, even as doubts about his guilt persist. Their grief is not the grief of loss but of uncertainty, caught between defending their child and grappling with the evidence stacked against him. Two families, both devastated, their lives altered forever, now bound together by a tragedy neither asked for. As the trial looms, the weight of expectation grows heavier. The defense prepares to scrutinize every forensic report, every witness statement, every digital trail. The prosecution remains steadfast, determined to secure the harshest penalty possible. And the public waits, holding its breath for answers that may never come. Will this case close with clarity, or will it remain a haunting reminder of the flaws in our justice system? More than a verdict, the outcome will shape how Americans understand fairness, accountability, and the dangers of political division. This is not just the story of a crime. It is the story of a nation grappling with its own fractures. The shooting of Charlie Kirk has forced Americans to confront uncomfortable truths about violence, polarization, and the fragility of trust and justice. Tyler Robinson's fate will be decided in court, but the lessons of this case will linger far beyond the final verdict. Lives have already been destroyed, families shattered, and faith in institutions shaken. What remains now is a test of whether justice can rise above emotion, politics, and fear. If you want to stay informed as this case continues to unfold, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the truth when it matters most.